I think the problem is when you sign a publishing contract, as Harry did with Spare, for a great deal of money. I mean, supposedly millions and millions of dollars. We're never quite sure how much it is. You sign basically you sign away your rights. So he had to do the hardback version, which he did. And then approximately a year later, which it is a little bit about a year later, then the paperback comes out. And the publishers choose what they think is the best time for the book to come out. And I don't think, certainly in my situation, I don't think the author has any say over exactly when the paperback will be published. But I think Prince Harry might have been able to say at an earlier date, oh, if that's, the end of October is an inconvenient time for me. And they might have, they might have already moved it. We don't know because I don't think that Harry, he lives in such a world of his own in Montesino in California. He and Meghan and their life there. I don't think he necessarily would have even known his father was going to be on a tour of Australia at that time. And he certainly probably wouldn't have known that he'd still be in Samoa. So I don't think we can blame Harry for that. And the other thing is he's put no promotion into it, Harry, and he hasn't updated it. So basically that leaves it in the hands of the publishers. My feeling is that Harry just wants to forget about Spare. It's caused him so many problems. There's been so many upsets within his own family because of it. Um, and I think, although it was, one of the fastest selling books of all time and has made the publishers and indeed Harry quite a lot of money, I think it's caused so much damage that Harry just wants to forget about it. So he probably said, yes, but I don't want to update it. I've got nothing further to say. It's caused me enough aggravation already, and I'm not prepared to promote it. And I have a feeling, unless that was in his contract, he had to promote both the hardback and the paperback, that there's nothing they can do about that. In my opinion, it hasn't distracted at all from what Charles is doing. I think what Charles is doing is really important. Any people that are interested have been watching him and watching the Queen in Australia and Samoa, and they both look completely exhausted. And I think they're both doing a fine job, and I believe that that they will shortly be coming home, and I should think they're done in. And I think that it's been quite interesting to see the Australian reaction, which was to be expected, and then the action of the Commonwealth heads of government um, probably wasn't to be so expected, but they are harping back to the days of slavery, which is over 200 years ago. And Charles, as king, is not in a position to say anything about that. He can't say, well, I'd like to give them reparation because it's a political thing. It's nothing to do with him as a person, whatever his personal feelings are. So I don't think it's distracted Harry's book so far. I think it was published yesterday, so we're only really at the very beginning of it. But I think so far it hasn't detracted from what his father is doing. I think that the royal family have washed their hands of Harry. I think that they've felt that Spare was so hurtful and so upsetting and so very personal in parts that they just don't want any more to do with it because whatever this is what I think they feel. Whatever you say to Harry is likely to get repeated. So the best thing to do is say absolutely nothing and do absolutely nothing, and then see what moves that he makes in the future. Because what would have happened at the beginning when he signed the contract, which as I said, was for millions of dollars, he would have agreed that he produced the hardback, and then after a certain amount of time, which say is a year or 18 months, they then produce the paperback, and he has he would break his if he didn't want the paperback to come out. It would be breaking his contract and he'd be in all kinds of legal trouble. Well, he really doesn't need any more legal trouble. And also, there's nothing new in the paperback, which I think was the interesting thing. Harry, refused to update it in any way. So there's nothing new in it. So, but apparently, although, paperback sales and hardback sales are two very different sects of people. Some people will buy paperbacks, obviously because they're less expensive, they're easier to carry around, and some people will buy hardbacks. So there's a different market for both. Well, I would imagine it will probably do very well. I think that, I mean, not all hardbacks go into paperback, but most of them do. And if they do well, they want a paperback edition. And I think that this has been one of the best-selling books of all time. So of course they're going to want a paperback edition because there's a whole new world of people there who don't want hardbacks or can't afford to buy hardbacks that now have this book available to them. So the publishers would definitely want it, and there's very little Harry can do about it.